Today we're going to be talking about upskilling and reskilling and how important is it in the new world of work. And we're delighted to have Aoife McNena with us today from Intuity. And so Aoife, if you would like to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hi, Crystal. Yeah, sure. Aoife McNena is my name. I work with Intuity Technologies. We're a technology company based in head office in Galway, and we operate out of Dublin and Sligo also. And I am the head of HR with the company, Crystal.
So that's great, Aoife. And again, delighted to have you here today. So I suppose if you could tell us, Aoife, in terms of the last 3 months of obviously, we've seen a huge change in the work environment in terms of having remote workers and offices kind of shutting their doors and things like that. So before kind of global pandemic hit, did you guys have a lot of remote workers, or has this been a new thing for your company?
Surprisingly, even though we're a technology company, it's been pretty new. Okay. We would have had a very small level of remote working, and probably something that was very temporary in nature for one reason or another. So this was quite a big change in our normal routine for us.
And so the day, obviously, remote working happened, the button got pressed. Did you have to kind of look at upskilling some of your employees to make sure that they were able to either kind of operate the different remote working tools that you had, or, you know, what were the specific issues around all of a sudden your entire company going remotely?
So I guess, like most companies, we'd been, keeping an eye on things, and we had initiated our business continuity planning, and we were putting all of the necessary steps and measures in place to be allowed, send staff home and so that they could work from home. So, and obviously we work with Microsoft Teams. We worked with it on a daily basis pre-COVID. So we did really have all the technology side of things. We had that box ticked. That aspect was easy. Mm-hmm. Also from a security point of view, VPNs and so on, that all worked well. Everybody was set up with laptops. So that worked pretty well in terms of sending people home, but then being able to very quickly get their remote workstation set up and start to work away as normal. I guess though we did see, and part of it being, I guess, a pandemic and a crisis, that we needed to kind of help people and support people with just getting that new daily rhythm. So figuring out, how do I go about, having a new day working at home and working remotely. So we did, some of our first kind of training was around time management and just setting up a new, as I said, daily rhythm. How to be productive and effective and make the most of your, the most of your day, whatever kind of schedule that might look like in the new world.
Whatever that looks like.
Yeah, whatever that looks like. The irony of it then as well was we were at the same time, we were really busy ourselves, providing a lot of training to our customers, who would be obviously not like ourselves, not maybe technology companies, and who did need a lot of help and support around things like Microsoft Teams and getting set up remotely with their staff. So we spent a lot of time helping our customers with that, but our focus was slightly different.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the key, isn't it? That a lot of people have had different kind of experiences. If you were set up, you were using Microsoft Teams, that first Monday, people could still kind of communicate with each other. But for those customers, those customers of yours who just didn't have that set up, that must have been a huge challenge for them to kind of get all that in place.
Absolutely, and quite, quite stressful, I think, and I guess that's what we like to do. We like to partner with the customers. We like to be there to support them and kind of help them at times of crisis like that. So training was definitely something that was really important to get everybody up and running as fast as possible for a lot of the companies we work with. Even the security awareness side of things. I mean, it wasn't obviously just about having Microsoft Teams and being able to use it. There's lots of other considerations. And I think everybody was just really keen to get it all done and get it done as fast as possible so that it minimized any downtime.
And I think you raised there that you did some time management and productivity training. I know for myself, the first week, I think I had about 20 breaks during the day, had about 15 cups of coffee. And I spoke to one of my colleagues who she's always worked remotely, and she's like, you need to actually treat it like you don't have 15 breaks in the office or 15 cups of coffee. So so I think that's definitely it's exactly getting the technology up is one aspect, but actually getting people into the rhythm of the day to day is definitely
totally. And we, again, having established practices around daily huddles and things like that, I mean, that was something that we already operated, but again, reinforcing that, because again, once you start to work remotely, communication becomes really important and a challenge at the same time. So we really, felt the need to support people and find ways that we could help everybody find their new routine. And it's all the basic tips in terms of you get up in the morning and you act as if you are going into work, you dress like you would normally, and you create that routine, that schedule for yourself. Well, when am I going to have my coffee break? We then did, and we still do them, our virtual coffee breaks, which were a great success. And then you get back into, okay, well, what's my lunch break, and what am I going to get done in the afternoon, and what are my good times of the day? Because you don't have other people to bounce off. It's a totally different environment. So you kind of have to reassess that and figure out what that means for you, and take on board, obviously, whatever distractions or whatever other juggling you have to do as part of being at home, maybe with your kids and your family. So that was important, and that took time. And that, I guess, combined with wellness and helping people and providing information. We did chair yoga and some meditation and stuff like that as well, which worked really well, just to try and give people that sense of a new routine.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely hit the nail on the head, is that you still have to make an effort to actually have that engagement with people.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
That's definitely the key. So I mean, look, after this global pandemic, whatever the new normal is going to be, I think I'm tired of that word at this stage.
I know.
But we've definitely changed the landscape, the working landscape for a lot of companies. What areas do you guys feel, even in your own company or through your own experience, do you think that companies should be upskilling their employees in, or is there any specific things, if you still have employees working remotely, what areas do you think companies should be focusing on at the moment?
So I guess, there's the basics, some of which we've talked about already, in terms of being able to, utilize products like Microsoft Teams. I think, a significant area that's really important for us, and that we train our clients, team members in, and we're ISO certified, so we're very passionate about, is the whole security awareness side of it. There's a massive cybersecurity risk at the minute. So we again enrolled all of our staff in a really interesting program called Know Before. So again, it's just a very clever way of building awareness amongst your team members of the possible risks associated with working from home, opening an email that you shouldn't open, sharing information that you shouldn't share. There's lots of ways that we can get caught out, and the risks are there. So again, I think that's really important to have that in as your part of your basic.
I think that's key, because a lot of people forget about that. You've got so much. You're doing your communication, you're doing your employee engagement, you're doing all this other stuff, but now you've got 100 people working from home. How do you ensure that you're still staying on top of the security is
and you're still kind of switched on to the risks and be. And the way we did it was a really fun way, because again, it was all online, it was virtual, it suited the remote working scenario very well. And at the same time, we've had a bit of fun with it, because we have this kind of a league table going on now for people that haven't been caught out by phishing emails, and I'm delighted to say I'm at the top of that list. So,
of course.
it's in a really effective way, even though we're not in groups doing this training. We're not sitting in the office.
Yeah.
We're all, in completely separate places all over the west of Ireland. But this has worked really well, and it's been a good way of raising awareness, which is exactly
still having that engagement, aren't you? Because you're still a leaderboard. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're at the end of things. Some things are, we're opening up slowly. Obviously, we still have remote workers, and I do think, we've done a lot of research here with companies who never had remote workers, but in the future they will consider remote working going forward. So, I mean, I do think that remote working is kind of here to stay, whether it'll be in some form, whether it's 2 or 3 days a week or whatever people choose. So if you guys are looking to reopen your offices and get people back into the office, whether it's, part-time remote working or dual working, is there any training that you're requiring people to do before they return to the office rather?
So I guess with the government return to work protocol, we've been focused on that over the last month or so, developing training material for our staff. So basically a COVID induction program, so return to working program, which has all been delivered online. So I think key to remote working in the long term, again, is down to your technology, the software platforms you have access to. So, for ourselves, obviously we're very familiar with HRLocker and we use it across the company daily. So we're able to create our training item or our CPD item in HRLocker. We push it out to our staff. So as we did in this case with the COVID training, push it out to our staff, ask them to complete the training program, which we created on our own learning platform. We have a Moodle site. And then we also link it into our staff intranet, which is on a SharePoint platform. And all of that tied together allows us to very easily create content and push it out and, record and track compliance with it so that it just makes that whole process of getting people back into work so much easier. And I, without those platforms and those tools, I'm not sure what we would have done. I think it just would have been so much more challenging.
Yeah, and I think that's key, is that it doesn't have to be this huge mountain to climb, does it? Like if you have the right processes in place or the right systems in place.
Absolutely,
you have to use
you have to use the tools and technology that are out there to make life easier and to make to make it easier to engage staff and to make it easier to be productive and to work together, even though you are remotely and you are miles apart. It's definitely, from my perspective, it's the key to it working successfully.
Yeah. So, obviously people are kind of in this new world of Zoom and Microsoft Teams, and it's kind of, I think I spend 80% of my day on Teams at the moment, but there's a lot of other products that you spoke about in terms of Moodle and things like that. Like, so what products do you really feel has helped your company in terms of remote working and setting up kind of training programs and upskilling people through different products?
So I would have to say Microsoft Teams. We're a Microsoft house, we're a Microsoft partner. So again, like we work with our clients, on this type of product on a daily basis, from a CRM side of things to Teams. So yeah, I mean, we've utilized every aspect of it, I think, at this point in terms of using it for, whether it's daily huddles, whether it's our virtual coffee, whether it's webinars, our team meetings. There's just been so many ways that we've utilized it to make things work for us in the last number of months, from a training and development point of view, from a communication point of view and a social point of view. I mean, our chair yoga was via Teams, so it just worked perfectly.
So did everybody turn on their camera?
Yeah, well, some people were brave.
Fair
But the most important thing is we could see the teacher, so that so yeah, I mean, I think without something like Microsoft Teams or Zoom or these types of platforms, again, it just makes it that bit more challenging to keep people engaged. And again, big part of it was, and for us it was really important, was just making sure that people were still in touch with each other. We still had that, daily, hourly, weekly contact, and that we were able to do as much as possible business as usual.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the key for us as well as Aoife, is that we still have our morning meetings, we still have our weekly meetings. You have got to keep that engagement, and and even I love to use the word force it on people, but you've got to continuously. I definitely, if you're managing a remote working team, is to make sure that those meetings are still happening, that nobody is being left for a few days even without having any contact at all.
Absolutely. I mean, it's we know that it's not the same. Having a virtual meeting or a virtual face the same. It's not the same quality as the face-to-face meeting in the office. So you do have to work on how to kind of how to manage that. How can you shift things in your favor so you don't have the same cues from people in terms of body language. It is just different. So. Again, some simple things that we've done recently would be putting in place a virtual Teams charter, so that we agree and we commit to how we're going to conduct our virtual interactions, if you like, to make them the best possible, and to make sure that they're inclusive, that everybody is part of it, whether that's being able to see each other on camera, whether it's everybody committing to the virtual coffee or a social get together, or just making sure that everyone's voice can be heard. But there's lots of ways that you can get that kind of team commitment to how it will work best for your team.
Yeah, the Teams charter sounds like a great idea, because even I'm sure you've been in some of those meetings where you've got 4 or 5 people in the team and the one person just hasn't engaged, or their camera's not on, and the other 4 people are on, and it's difficult when you're talking to 4 people's faces and one person's isn't on. It's definitely, you have to kind of work on it, but the charter is a good idea to kind of set the guidelines out to everybody, really.
It is, and it just kind of reminds us, even the smallest thing, like remembering to check in with people, just to again, these are the things you do naturally when you're physically in an office with everyone, because you go for your coffee and you have that check-in. How are you doing? How's your day? So that's what's missing. So how do we replace it? And one way of doing that would be having that commitment to, at the start of every meeting, that we check in and we all see how we're doing. How's our day going? And as I said, these are simple things, but they are effective, and they do help make remote working and remote teams effective and productive, and have that level of engagement that is necessary really to be successful.
Yeah, and I also think as well, remote working the last few months hasn't been normal remote working. People have kids at home, and they may have an elderly parent who's cocooning and ill, or something like that. So it is important to check in, because we don't know what's going on.
We've all had it. We've all had that level of anxiety about what the future holds or what next week involves. So absolutely, it's been, that's been a challenge. The good thing about that is that we're all in it together. We're all, facing the same or similar challenges. So, people can relate to each other. And I think, we've a great team at Intuity, and I think people are very good at doing that. They're very good at supporting each other and checking in and making sure that everybody is, that everybody has someone who's looking out for them.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. And I think, well, here at HRLocker, I think everybody has met my 6-year-old at this stage. No matter what meeting I'm on, he's popped in his head. He's hidden at this stage. So, in the beginning, I was like jumping up the chair, trying to push him out of the room. And now I'm like, don't worry about him. Accept it now.
Yeah, exactly. Give him a job.
Exactly. He'll do something. So I would say it is. I definitely have felt with most of the companies that I've spoken to, that I think teams have grown because we're all in this together. For stealing a phrase from somebody else, but it's because we're all under pressure.
Absolutely, and it's required us to be adaptable. We had no choice in the matter, and I've said it before. Again, within our company, we've been very lucky, and people have really stood up to the challenge in that respect. And, we found that our downtime, as I said earlier on, was negligible. Everybody went home and quickly got back up and running, which has been great. So now we're working on, like we said, the new norm, but I think we're in it. So, it's about working in the present. Yeah.
And that's, I think, for me, we spoke about this briefly, that there's going to be no magic light that's all of a sudden going to go on and things are going to go back to, last February.
Yeah. That's
it is
very true. Yeah, no, we've already, as I'm sure many, and probably you have done this yourselves, we've surveyed our staff and we have their views on, who'd like to work remotely long term. So a significant percentage of our staff would like to. So that's what we're working towards now is, to make this sustainable long term. What do we need to do, from a technology perspective? And I think in that regard, it's just continuing to utilize the technology we have and any other new technology that can support us and can help with, help us be more productive and more engaged. And that's where the focus is now for us.
You mentioned two things there, Aoife, in regards to Moodle, and then also the, I think it was at No before, the online training there. But, you guys had these in place before lockdown or whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, was it a huge project for you guys to get it into place? Because I do think that kind of online training is the way that's going to be the option going forward for people. I think so. So I think getting kind of some kind of LMS or some online training for people will definitely be the way forward.
No, I mean, these projects can be as big as or small as one likes, Crystal. So I would say no, it doesn't take an awful lot to get the basics up and running, and then you can obviously build then layers on it over time. And again, this is the type of work that we do with our customers in terms of staff intranets and things like that. We have some lovely partners that we work with, and we work with a company called LiveTiles that this is where their expertise is. They work and they work with us on building different types of SharePoint platforms for customers. But yeah, I mean, even with the Moodle site, there's definitely an element of needing a bit of expertise to get something up and running, but then you can develop skills that will help you kind of create content and build on it over time.
And I think we would have the same ethos as yourselves, is that any project can be as big or small as you want it to be. We all want the Rolls Royce, but let's start at the beginning first.
Start where we need to start and take it a step at a time. Yeah.
I mean, I think with any system, you can make this into a huge monster of a project. But if you just start off small, maybe you want to get a Moodle site and put 2 courses up there. You have to start off with 100.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly. And the content piece can be, again, it can be as simple or as complicated as you like, but once you get develop some skills and you get used to using systems like that, you can start to get a little bit more advanced with what you create and how you create it and how you put it together. And the beauty of it is that it can all be virtual, and it's such a nice user experience then for team members when they're able to log into something and maybe do it in their own time and work their way through and maybe do a little quiz or get a certification. It's a nice way to experience training, I think, for the end user.
I think so too, because I'm sure you're the same. We've all kind of hurriedly gone to a course, sat there for 2 days while we're still checking our emails and everything else. And at least if you've kind of, I find with online training, you're kind of dedicating the time to do it. Yeah. Because you're logged in and you're there, you're ready to do it.
Absolutely. And having functionality as well where you can record, and watch later is fantastic. And we've had that, on so many occasions with different webinars that we were doing, and again, we can all get called away and have to kind of attend to something unexpected or urgent. So being able to come back and watch something online in your own time again is fantastic. And that's what all of this technology and Microsoft Teams and working virtually has it's given space to do that and be way more flexible with it.
I think so too, because even trying to get 10 people in a room at the same time is a challenge.
Exactly. And when you think back, was it entirely necessary?
Yeah.
Was it the best way of doing it? So I think this has definitely forced us all to be much more creative and much more focused on better ways of delivering training and sharing information and so on with our teams. And I think, from feedback we've had, I think they've been receptive and appreciated that too.
Yeah. So that's great, Aoife, and I hope people have got a lot from that. If people want to get in contact with Intuity, what's the best way for people to do that?
Definitely just pop onto our website, www.intuity.ie. You'll find all of our details there, and feel free to reach out. We'd be delighted to hear from anyone.
That's brilliant, Aoife. So again, if anybody has any questions for Intuity in regards to maybe setting up some your remote infrastructure, or whether it's upskilling or just in regards to your Teams or Microsoft infrastructure, I'd certainly recommend getting in contact with Aoife and the team. So again, thank you very much, Aoife, for that, and it was lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.